To be a target of bullying during the school years, it is a nightmare that many people, especially students, had gone through. It is a constant reminder of fear of what you had to go through. But the thing is, not only students can be bullied, even teachers can be bullied by students. But despite of all that, many still going through this, and so many actually being too scared of being such harsh bullying that they're just too scared to come forward to being telling a teacher or anything. But in some cases, when a student do tell a teacher, they often being brushed off and thought maybe they were just a classmate who just messing around. And it is a very much harsh realization that some teachers don't even take the bullying seriously. But some schools actually haven't even implemented an anti-bullying policy, meaning, which means that the school has no tolerance, zero tolerance against bullying. But sometimes, despite having put that in the system, sometimes the bullying can happen under the radar, instead of speaking. It is how that happens sometimes. My name is Danny. I was a target for a bully during my senior year of high school when I was about 18. And this bully, her name is Stacy. I have known her since middle school. Even back then, she was often teased at the students, but it wasn't anything bad. There were just some small, simple tease, like say, "Oh, you like her, but she likes him," or similar to those like that. And it was just some simple tease. But it all changed when we all went to high school. I was the only one from the same middle school as Stacy that went to the same high school. And even though I wouldn't say we were friends, we weren't even an acquaintance. She was only someone that I barely know. We didn't even interact as much at all back in middle school. But when we started high school, she started getting a lot worse. She started to change quite much. She started to target many other students for no reason whatsoever. Some of them had not even experienced Stacy's teasing back in middle school. In fact, some of the students that she targeted, they were just, well, scared. It wasn't actually, there was like no physical bullying or anything. And she didn't even have a group of people around her. She was a sole bully, meaning that she was the only one. She only verbally bullied students. You may think that she called them just stupid, moron, brainless, four eyes, or anything. No. She calls them some of that, but also some other more graphic that she or he will never be found or their true love because they're too fat or they're too skinny, they're just too nerdy. She preferred to just only be with more popular kids. Even though back when in middle school, she wasn't even considered one of the popular kids. She was more like, not even one of those so-called nerds or anything. She was more like neutral, kind of. But even though for the first 4 years of the high school, I was never even on her radar for as a target. This was a pretty big high school. She usually targeted the nerds, the computer geeks, and all that. And I started wondering why what isn't anyone told a teacher? Because some of the students that she targeted was actually a friend of mine's. So I didn't even ask them about it, but they were just too afraid to that if she somehow found out that they had been telling someone, well, let's say The bullying might actually get a lot worse. And they didn't want that. I asked them if they wanted me to do something about it. They said no almost immediately. They didn't want me to get in trouble with her bullying or at least something else. So I just ignored it, even though I wish I could have. It happened maybe that one of the students that she targeted eventually transferred to a whole different high school. And this was during the third year of high school. And I was getting worried about this. But and then, during my senior year of high school, I think it was like the first 2 months in, when I was targeted, I was like, out of the blue, I was targeted and she started calling me loser or a book geek or something like that, or a bookworm. And I did like to read. Not because of the just novels or anything, but I did study a lot. A lot. I mean, I was reading and studying a lot of the books. But eventually, she started talking me for that. And I pretended I was even letting that face me. And somehow that even seems to bother her at all. Only amused her to getting more, trying to get more bold. But she was still bullying other students as well, not only me. Sometimes when I was in the area, I saw it. So I recorded it in secret. And I thought if I could gather enough proof for her bullying, because our school did have a non-pol zero tolerance for bullying. So I recorded it much of the evidence of different students, and sometimes I even approached those students and telling them about these recordings, and I have enough evidence so that I could have her either expelled or even suspended. Even the worst, some of the students were actually hesitating to even help me with it. Some declined that they didn't want to do if they don't want to get much involved in this. But some actually gave me a written testimony. So after that, I went to the principal. I presented him with the recordings and the written testimony from several students, and he was horrified. And he had summoned in those students just to be cleared if they was willing to do this. If what they wrote on this testimony was true, all said it is 100% true. Let's see what would happen. Well, Stacy was eventually called into the principal's office, and not only was she there, but just by him, but her parents had also been called, and they were furious. They had raised her so well. I mean, her family was even rich or anything, but she pretended that she was very much important. But when her parents found out what she had been doing, her mom was crying. They said that they raised her wrong, and her dad was, well, at least from what I understand, from based on rumors and was eventually turned out to be true, that her dad was so upset about it. He was so red. He grounded her all the way to when we all finished high school. She was allowed to go back to the school to finish it. Because there was only like, eventually at the time, it was just about I think it was about a month away from to be finished high school. So they thought they had to allow that she finish high school. It was no point for her to be transferred to a whole different school just because it was only like a month away. So she finished off, but she was still grounded. And after she finished high school, she was planning to go to college. Her parents was planning to support her that, but after what she did for 4 years apparently, they decided they needed nothing to do with that anymore. And she was freaked out because she had planned out to getting a good college life, getting a good job. They said the only way for her to be doing that if she can promise for a whole year, if she's been working at a family's farm, or a relative's farm, for for a year. She luckily did. Well, I heard from that she was working from morning to evening on that farm. And let's say when she came back, she was really much the same anymore. She was more skinnier. She was more not radiant as she used to be. But when she saw me, she apologized immediately what she put me through. And I accepted her apology because I could see that she was so severe. But for some strange reason, she did manage to go to college, and surprisingly enough, we actually went to the same college, and we did become good friends, but I wasn't not expecting that. But another thing is, during our second year of college, she asked me out. Turns out she did developing a crush on me during our first year of college, and at first I was hesitating due to the fact of our past history. Even though my roommate and some of my friends from college told me that they knew about her past after I told them, but seeing how she was being really redeemed herself for one of her past actions, so I decided at least give her one date, that's it. But boy, I was regretting that though, because after the first date, I realized she really was beautiful and she was really remorseful. And after just a few dates, we became a couple. I mean, a real couple. And during our senior year of college, well, I did propose to her, but we did wait get married until sometimes later. And about 2 years later, we did just had a small courthouse wedding. We didn't want to have anything big. And now we're happily married and even have two daughters together. And what do I say? What a ride and what history. Thanks everyone for listening. Thank you.